All right, let's bring in Jonathan Schanzer, Senior Vice President of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, former counterterrorism analyst at the U.S. Treasury Department, also author of the book Gaza Conflict 2021 and Hamas versus Fatah. Jonathan, thanks so much for being with us. Happy New Year to you. What do you make of this latest, I don't know what you want to call it, provocation and escalation, the deployment of this Iranian vessel into the Red Sea?
Well, certainly not hard to predict. We knew the Iranians would be continuing to escalate. They want to see whether the United States has the stomach to stay in this. They continue to try to lump the United States in with the wider war that Iran is fighting in the Middle East. But it's actually very interesting. Tonight, we're hearing about another very relevant moment that just took place in Lebanon. The Israelis have actually just taken out the number 3 of Hamas. And this is, I think, going to probably signal a much wider war.
Yeah, we wanted to ask you about that, Jonathan. It's Saleh Arouri. He was in Lebanon. We don't know who mounted the attack, whether it was the IDF, the IAF, or the Mossad. But we do know that Benjamin Netanyahu gave the Mossad instructions back in November to eliminate Hamas leaders wherever they are around the world. Taking out al-Arouri would be a very significant move and potentially could invite some sort of retaliation from Hezbollah. Even though he was a Hamas leader, Hezbollah sort of rules the roost there in Lebanon. What do you think will happen?
Yeah, look, I think the Lebanese Hezbollah is likely to respond to this in some shape or form. The Israelis apparently took him out in downtown Beirut. Also in the car with him were 2 other people. I don't know who the third person is, but we do know that a guy named Osama Hamdan, the spokesperson for Hamas, was also taken out. So it was at least a twofer, so to speak. I believe that we're likely to see more of this. The Israelis are likely to target Hamas leadership in other countries where Hamas has headquarters, such as Qatar, such as Turkey, maybe even places like Malaysia. Certainly, I think we can continue to see this kind of activity in Lebanon. And so when we think about what a wider war might look like, some of this might look like gray zone activity, right, where the Israelis don't necessarily have to take responsibility, but we will see, I think, more Hamas leadership sacrificed after 10/7, so to speak. I think there's going to be a lot more of that, and that, of course, could invite additional provocations from Iran-backed militias in places like Yemen and Syria and Iraq, Lebanon, Gaza, West Bank. So this thing could go on for quite some time.
It's also, though, the reality, Jonathan, we've seen this over and over again with other terrorist organizations in that region, that when you use strategic killings and you off a leader here and there, it rarely has a long-term impact on these organizations. Nearly everybody is now replaceable, and it is also possible that as a result of this killing, Hamas will raise more money.
It's certainly possible, and certainly on the financial side of things, we know that Iran is committed, the Qataris are committed, the Turks are committed to making sure that the organization continues to live on, even as the group is going to be, I think very likely pulled out of Gaza and ultimately dismantled or destroyed. I will say, though, that when you start to take a look at some of the leaders that could be targeted here, Arouri being a key one, but there are also others like Yahya Sinwar and Mohammed Deif who are based in Gaza right now. If they fall, I do get a sense that Hamas doesn't necessarily have anyone who can immediately step up and fill that gap. There is a psychological component to this. In other words, if these targeted killings took place in a vacuum, I would 100% agree that, okay, they can reconstitute. But they're also losing their safe haven. They're losing their base, and they're losing their leadership at the same time. This looks more and more like a debilitating blow that the Israelis are delivering. We knew they were capable of it. But, of course, that doesn't mean this is going to be a short war.
All right. Well, if you're a member of Hamas anywhere around the world, you're probably looking over your shoulder today after this. Jonathan Schanzer, always great to get your thoughts. Thank you.